Okay, you're all set.
Good, thank you. Good evening, members of the public, to our Monday, December 7th meeting of Committee of Adjustments, staff as well, and council. Can I get someone to call the meeting to order? Moved by Councillor McDonnell, second by Councillor Lang. All those in favor? Meeting is called to order. Can I get someone to move the approval of the agenda as presented? Moved by Councillor Jaworski, second by Mayor Prevost. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And the approval of the minutes of the November 16th meeting. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Mayor Prevost, second by Councillor Lang. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, I'll move on to number 5, A38-20 Lee. Ms. Haley.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just going to share my screen to start my presentation. If it's possible, if the clerk can allow me to share my screen, that would be helpful. Thank you.
It should be working.
Thanks. Perfect. Okay, so welcome members of the public. For those of you that are participating by Zoom or by phone, you will be permitted to speak to your respective application following my presentation. Prior to speaking, please state your name and address for the record. If you choose to make a comment through the raise hand function via Zoom, the chair will call on you. And if you've registered to participate in the meeting by phone, you will also ask if you would like to comment on the application after the applicable presentation. So I'm now going to read required wording under the Ontario Planning Act. This is a hearing under Section 44 of the Ontario Planning Act. Any person may attend this hearing and or make written or verbal representation either in support of or in opposition to the proposed minor variance. If a person or public body does not make oral or written submissions at this hearing before the minor variance is decided upon, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the minor variance of the Committee of Adjustment to the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal, also known as LPAT. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a hearing or make written submissions to the Committee of Adjustment before the minor variance is decided upon, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the LPAT unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so. So we're going to get started with our first application this evening, which is A3820. This property is located on part of Lot 5, Concession 1, Broken Front, Indian Lands, in the geographic township of Charlottenburg, now in South Glengarry, also known as 18384 County Road 2. This is a map of the property. The property is highlighted in the light blue, and you can see just to the right of the presentation of the screen, this is where the Blue Anchor restaurant is. So you can see it's just west of the Blue Anchor right in Glen Walter. And the purpose of this minor variance is the applicant constructed a new detached dwelling that does not conform to the setbacks that were approved in minor variance application A1215. So the following relief from the zoning bylaw is requested: to reduce the interior side yard setback on the west side from 1.2 meters to 0.91 meters, and to reduce the front yard setback from 6 meters to 0.58 meters. The previous minor variance approval in 2015 was granted to permit an interior side yard setback of 1 meter and a front yard setback of 0.6 meters. So what happens is, after people have completed their construction, they're required to submit as-built drawings to show the exact location. It's always the applicant's goal or the builder's goal to construct in the right location. Generally, a surveyor would pin the foundation, but sometimes it just isn't in the perfect location. And in a case like this, it's important for the applicant to correct if they ever want to sell the property someday, then they're actually showing that they have approvals for their as-builts. This property was also subject to site plan control, so that as-built drawing will help for that as well. So this is a street view of where the house is. I think most of you would recognize this home. It was built a few years ago, and went through all the necessary approval processes, but just didn't meet the setbacks that were previously approved. So the property is designated residential district in the county official plan and is located in the urban settlement area of Glen Walter, and it does conform to the general intent of the official plan. The property is zoned residential 1 and floodplain holding. The floodplain holding is really just along the St. Lawrence River, and the construction did not occur in the floodplain. That's why there's still a holding symbol on it. And it also conforms to the general intent of the zoning bylaw. The applications were circulated to applicable municipal staff, and planning and building have no concerns with the application. The United Counties have no comments, and a setback permit was issued by the United Counties for this development in advance of a building permit being issued. And same as the RCA, they have no concerns, and they just put in writing that it's possible that their interior regulation permit may be modified just to reflect the as-built setbacks. And I've received no public comments to date, not even telephone inquiries. So if there's any questions, please let me know.
Through me, I guess. Ms. Haley, I have a question in regards to the difference between what the original approval was and what is requested today. It's much less than what's written there, correct?
It's not much less. No, it's a minimal difference. If you don't mind, I can go back to that particular screen that'll explain the difference, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I missed that. And I just wanted to make sure that it was like, it's like 6 or 8 inches or something like that.
Yes, it's not a big difference. To the point where sometimes, oh, I just need to go back here. Okay, so for the interior side yard setback, if we meet the bylaw, we're supposed to have 1.2 meters. The previous variance was approved for 1 meter, but they built at 0.91 meter.
Okay.
And then the previous variance was approved to reduce the front yard setback from 6 meters to 0.6. Yes. And now they built at 0.58. So we are talking inches.
Okay.
And to perfect. The point where sometimes the members of the public will say, well, why do you have to go through a process for inches? And that's because zoning bylaws aren't written to have tolerances. You either meet the bylaw or you don't.
Okay. Perfect. I'll open the discussion up, questions up to the floor. Are there any questions of council? Seeing none, I'll check participants. Are there any questions of participants? I don't see anyone's hand up. I'll go back to you, Councillor McDonnell.
I'll make a motion to move to approve as presented.
Okay, can I get a seconder? Councillor Jaworski. I'll wait another 10 seconds to see if anybody puts their hands up. And all those in favor to approve as presented. Motion is carried. Moving on to the next one. Let me just read here between screens. A39-20, Auger, Miss Haley.
Okay, so our next application is known as part of Lot 17, Concession 7, in the geographic township of Lancaster, now in South Glengarry, also known as 4564 Third Line Road. This is a location of the property. This is in the hamlet of, or the settlement area of Glen Nevis, and you can see it's on the south side of the Vedette River, and it's highlighted in blue. The purpose of this minor variance is the applicant proposes to construct a greenhouse of 162.6 square meters in gross floor area, which is 70 by 25, equaling 1,750 square feet. And the following relief from the zoning bylaw is requested: to permit an accessory structure with a maximum gross floor area of 162.5 square meters, where the zoning bylaw permits the maximum gross floor area not to exceed 50 square meters, which is 538 square feet. So what I've done is I've included some photos in this presentation and hopefully to help the committee. This is the site plan that the applicants have provided to me. You may recall the shape of their property kind of meandered south of the river like this. This is the existing dwelling. This is the proposed location of the greenhouse that's highlighted in yellow. This is their existing septic system, and then the well would be located over here. I'm now going to show photos in a second here. So the subject property contains a single detached dwelling only. It is, according to our tax system, 2.04 acres in size. It's serviced by a septic system and a well. And according to the applicant, the purpose of the greenhouse is to grow vegetables for sale at farmers markets. And I know the applicants are participating this evening, so perhaps they can provide more details on the type of greenhouse and their activities and things like that. But here's some photos of the property for those of you who may not have had a chance to get to the property. So this would be the front portion that fronts on Third Line. This is a side road called Dureshi Road. So this is the side view of the property. And then this would be down Dureshi Road where you're looking into their backyard. Another photo of the backyard. And then kind of a photo on the side of the side road where you can see there's some brush and things like that here. So as I mentioned, the property is designated rural settlement area, and it's in Glen Nevis, and it does conform to the general intent of the official plan. And the property is zoned residential 1, which is a typical zoning in our settlement areas. So the applications were circulated to applicable municipal staff. Planning and Building cautioned the committee that this is a large accessory structure as the bylaw permits a maximum of 50 square meters. However, it really is the committee's decision as to whether they feel this meets the 4 tests, one being minor in nature. To date, I've received 2 phone calls questioning the location of the structure and the purpose of the structure. And if the application is approved, just letting the committee and the public know that the applicant must apply for a building permit for the proposed greenhouse. So therefore, the greenhouse does have to meet the Ontario Building Code or conform to the building code. And the greenhouse must be located a minimum of 30 meters from the Baudette River, which we don't see as being an issue in terms of the location. So if there's any questions, let me know. And as I mentioned, the applicant is participating, and I think they can definitely do a much better job speaking to what their intentions are if there's any questions.
Okay, I've added Mrs. Auger to the line. Is there anything you wanted to add to the discussion, Mrs. Auger?
Yes, just to know, just so you know, I'm a teacher. I stopped teaching after 23 years and decided to go back to the earth, to play in the ground, grow vegetables, and just to eat well, produce organic food and grow vegetables. So it's my new projects. I'm now studying in that domain. In that, I'm learning how to grow vegetables, organic vegetables, with a formation of 22 months and a stage next summer. So it will be to grow vegetables earlier in the season, like tomatoes, to have primers, vegetables to offer. So that's the only objective of the greenhouse. That's what we want to do with that, and also have other veggies on our land, but no greenhouse. So that's our project. I would really like to build my greenhouse and go ahead with that project. So now you know a bit who I am, where I'm from.
Okay, that's perfect. I have a couple of questions myself, Mrs. Auger, and I'll open it up to the floor and to the public if that's the case. Do you know what the height of the structure is going to be as the first question?
Let me guess. I think it's not more than 12 feet.
Okay.
Because we went to see the structure and we put I don't know how to say it in English, une échelle, and when we were at the top of the échelle, we were able to reach the post. So I don't think it's more than 12 feet. And we can also, if people doesn't want to see that, we can put some trees to block the view, and trees that grows fast and no one will see it. It's hygienic. It's not something broke or old. It will be well maintained, and it won't be like a garbage in the view of the people.
Not a problem at all. I guess the second question is more for Ms. Haley. We've had complaints in Summerstown Station regards to a certain product being grown. Now, I mean, there's certain Health Canada rules. Is there any metrics for us to, we have no way of controlling that, or will that bylaw that we passed addressed, it should, it turn into a pot place? You know what I'm saying?
No.
Ma'am, I understand that. I'm just asking a question because that has been a concern in our other areas of our municipality. So
I understand perfectly. And when I spoke with my neighbor, I told him, I hope they won't think I want to grow pot. I'm an anti-pot. I've been a teacher in preschool for 23 years. I know maybe it doesn't mean something, but for me, yes. It's only to grow organics, vegetables, and nothing at all. If we don't grow anything else we'll build it down, and that's it.
Okay, no problem, Ms. Ojai. Can you go ahead and answer that, Mrs. Haley?
Sure. So, Mr. Chair, I'll answer that in a way that, let's say Ms. Ojai chooses to sell her home in a couple of weeks, and the greenhouse is erected and we have a new occupant. So right now, with our interim control bylaw in place, we have that bylaw in place for 1 year to allow us to do that research to come up with the policies that council feels are the best policies for our community. As you know, everyone is allowed to grow up to 4 plants because it is a legal product. Mm-hmm. Anything beyond the 4, they would have to seek permission from the municipality, especially in a residential zone. Okay. So, whether everybody would or not is a different story, but if they were to follow the rules, then we do have those controls in place.
Perfect. Answered my question. Thank you. I'll open it up to members of council. Seeing none, I notice Ann Compo, I believe she's your neighbor. Does Ms. Compo want to add anything to the discussion? I see Councillor Lang had his hand up, so I'll go ahead, Councillor Lang, and then if Mrs. Compo puts her hand up, I'll monitor that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And it's just a technical point. I may be totally wrong, but I thought the Badette River was quite a bit south of that. And I thought that might be the DeLille River or something, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Councillor McDonnell would know, he lives in that area.
Yeah, I think that's the Badette. I think the DeLille's further north, is it not?
I have it labeled as the Badette, but I could have made a mistake. I don't think so, but
I was looking at that too.
I could be wrong. I know south of Green Valley. I didn't realize it went up into that area.
Yeah, I just looked at the Google images. So you can see, you can track it right to Bridgend.
Okay.
So
that is the Badette River?
Yeah, the DeLille's the north one.
Okay, no problem. Good observation, Councillor Lang. Councillor Jaworski, you had your hand up?
There we go. Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. My question, I guess, is probably more for the applicant, or maybe you have this information, Ms. Haley. Is the size of the structure, how the proposed structure, how it compares to the existing house that's on the property now in terms of square footage? And also, I guess this is more for the applicant, if she could explain a little bit more about the construction of the greenhouse. I mean, I'm familiar with different types of greenhouses, ones that are more like hoop houses, I guess you call them, where it's like a metal subframe and plastic that's put over, but plastic that's fairly, it's not very long lasting. And then there are versions where they use a fabric that is much more long lasting. So I was wondering if she could expand a bit on what kind of structure they're proposing to put up.
Okay, it's a metal structure with the plastic on it. So we need, it's like two, oh, sorry, I'm looking for my word. It's like twice the plastic wrap above the metal structure. So we need to install it and take care of it. And if it breaks, if the wind takes it, we need to change it. So, and the door will be a metal door, and so it won't be heated. It's only to begin the season earlier, and with the plastic, it's warmer in that structure. So, and what was your other question?
The size, la superficie of the greenhouse versus the house. What if one is much bigger than the other, or do you know
The greenhouse is smaller. It's not the same size of the house.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, perfect. That's great. I don't see any hands up from any members of the public participating, so I'm assuming they did not want to speak. May I have, and see no further discussion, may I have a mover to approve as presented? Moved by Councillor McDonnell, second by Mayor Prevost. All those in favor of approving as presented? Motion is carried. Moving on to the next item, closing that screen. A40-20 Ferme Lumar Inc. Ms. Haley.
Okay. Great. So application 4020 is located on part of lots 24, concession 5, in the geographic township of Lancaster, now in South Glengarry, also known as 4950 Second Line Road. This is the property highlighted in blue. I think many people are very familiar with the chicken barns that are located south of the village of North Lancaster. And the applicant's proposing to construct a barn, chicken barn right down the middle. So the purpose of the minor variance application is there's two components to it. The new barn does not meet the minimum distance separation calculation because they need to be a certain distance from the nearest dwelling based on the minimum distance calculation. So in this case, the request is to reduce the MDS from 184 meters to 91 meters to the nearest dwelling unit located at 4921 Second Line Road, as well as to reduce the front yard setback from 15 meters to 10.5 meters. I'm just going to go back to the drawing here. So where the proposed barn is located is, my understanding, is going to line up very similarly to the existing barns, which is why they can't meet the 15-meter setback. And the nearest dwelling, some people might wonder where the dwelling is, but there's actually an approved dwelling unit located inside of this structure that looks like an industrial structure. It was known as the sponge factory, and that residential dwelling unit became a legitimate unit several years back. So this is a drawing or a site plan that the applicants provided to me that supports their application. So you can see in here the proposed chicken barn. It's quite long, and that's why they're looking for the 10.5 meter setback, as well as this is the distance from here to 91 meters to that building that contains the dwelling that I pointed out to you earlier. So the application, or excuse me, the property is designated agricultural resource, and it conforms to the general intent of the official plan. And it's also zoned agriculture, and it conforms to the general intent of the zoning bylaw. We've circulated to applicable staff. Building and planning have no concerns with the application. The United Counties were also circulated. They have no concerns with the application. They indicated in their comments that a setback permit is required, and if an additional entrance is proposed, an entrance permit will also be required. And I've received no phone calls or no public comments to date at all. So thank you.
Okay, let me see here. I'll open it up to members of council. Councillor Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you. I see no problem with this. The barns are existing. They've been there for a long time. As far as the setback from the road, if it lines up with the other barns, I think it'll be more than sufficient. They have an actual lane between the road and the barns now, and they allow us to use it with our fire trucks to fill at the pond that they have between the two barns. So we do use that lane now. So there's plenty of room there. It seems a shame that they have to apply for this when the dwelling seems to have come there after the barns. But anyway, I think it's not going to change any of the situation that's already existing. This barn won't be any closer than the other ones. So.
Thank you. Councillor McDonnell.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I agree with Councillor Lang. I'm quite familiar with that too. It's my end of the world's night here on the Committee of Adjustment, but yeah, I have no issue with that. Just a question for Ms. Haley. Did we ever receive a call from, I believe his first name's Telbus from the Sponge Factory?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have not. And I did encourage the applicants to speak to their neighbor if there was any concerns. I don't know if that occurred, but I've not received any calls or comments at all.
I can't see him being too concerned with another one going up. Anyways, I'm willing to move to approve at this point, but.
Okay, seems logical. Mr. Bordeaux has his hand up. I'm going to allow him to speak.
Yes. Okay, I did talk to Mr. Telvis, and he had no issue with the barn being put up there. I did told him that all the ventilation is going tunnel, so the fans would be at the west end, so there won't be any more fans on the sides. And he had no issues. Everything was good with him.
All righty. For the record, could you just, I guess I didn't get a lot, Mrs. Auger, to do it, but are you the applicant, sir?
Marc Bourdon, I'm one of the owners.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for clearing that up. So seeing no further comments from members of council, seeing no hands up from members of the public, Councillor McDonnell move to approve as presented. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lang. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you very much, Mr. Bordeaux, for your comments. Moving on, next meeting, December 21st. Ms. Haley.
Thank you. Yes, we definitely have one application for our December 21st meeting. I have a 9 o'clock meeting tomorrow morning that another application will possibly be filed. So I don't anticipate any more than 2, simply because I have to have them circulated on Wednesday. So it doesn't afford a lot of time, but this is definitely a record year in the number of minor variance applications we've processed, that's for sure.
Well, I think it's a good thing because as you stated earlier, it puts things into conformity, and then it just, no issues if you ever want to sell your property.
And these applications often lead to construction projects, which is what we want.
Absolutely. All righty. That being said, adjournment. 6:28 p.m. Moved by the mayor, second by Councillor McDonnell.